Time to round up one of our big topics from the week. As the crisis in Ukraine continues, some members of Congress want to end America's reliance on Russia for trips to the International Space Station. Last week, the House Appropriations Committee passed a spending package that includes an increase in funding for commercial space flights to the ISS. It's now expected the U.S. will no longer need to rely on Russia's Soyuz capsules beyond 2017. Proponents of commercial spaceflight heralded the increased spending, but say more is needed to end the reliance on Russia. So should the current tension with that country hasten the move toward commercial flights? That's our topic this half hour. We invite you to weigh in on our Fox 26 Facebook page, or you can send me a tweet at Sally Mack, Fox 26. In our newsroom, our legal analyst Chris Tritico, news analyst Mustafa Tamiz, and public policy analyst Jackie Bally. All right, what do you guys think?
Well, first, a huge mistake was made by the Bush administration when they chose to cancel the space shuttle and go to a system of private funding before that was even close to being completed, and caused us to rely on Russia. I know we've been trying since the end of the Cold War to have better relations with Russia, but they're not our friend. They never have been our friend. They never will be our friend. And so ending the space shuttle before we were ready to move into a new situation, Jackie Bally, was a huge mistake. And President Obama had the chance when he took office to say, no, we'll keep the space shuttle going, and he chose not to. Both presidents, I think, made a huge mistake.
Well, a lot of the things that we're overlooking is that Russia relies on us for a couple of things too. They rely on us for electricity, for our solar panels. A lot of the instructions that they're hearing is coming from the command center in Houston. So both countries rely on the other for many different things. And you have to think about this. We give them $71 million per seat. And so from an economic standpoint, it's going to be very difficult for either country to try to break ties at this point. And the two presidents, when they tried to make a combined effort to try to say, look, for our space program, let's try to work together, they were looking at it from an economic standpoint and trying to save each country a lot of money.
And that came back to haunt us. Looking at this to save money, now we want to sanction Russia for what it's doing in the Ukraine. And at the same time that we're putting on sanctions, we're paying them hundreds of millions of dollars a year to ferry our astronauts.
Yeah, well, first, I think we should make sure that regardless of this political dispute between Russia and us, that we don't put the safety of those astronauts that are in space in jeopardy in any way. So we should go beyond politics to be able to deal with that. But two, cutting NASA's funding is a giant mistake by the United States Congress. President Obama asked for $3 billion. He only got 1/3 of that, even in this current environment. We should be increasing funding to space research. We should be increasing manned flights. But what we basically have done is walked away from our supremacy in the space. And now the Indian government, the Chinese government are spending far more than we are. And the benefits that come out of research out of NASA are really an untold story. So, I think the American public needs to kind of get re-engaged with the space program and start putting pressure on Congress to increase funding.
Let me go to Sally. She's monitoring our social media.
Yeah, we're checking our Twitter first, guys. George Abbey Jr. says since the end of the space shuttle program in 2011, NASA has become entirely reliant on Russia to transport its astronauts. And then heading over here to our Facebook page, if you look at the very bottom of the screen there, you'll see a comment from Mary. She says the U.S. should be able to rely on ourselves. Now's as good a time as any for the U.S. to step up to the plate.
And I don't think any of us disagree with that. The problem, though, Jackie, is we put ourselves in a position where we can't ferry our own astronauts.
Well, something that President Bush wanted to do, and I've heard that the current administration they're now looking at is trying to get private funding. Because when you have a deficit at the large a level and extent that we do, and it's easy for us to say, oh, we need to put money here, we need to put money here. We're also saying we need to put more money in defense, we need to put more money in education. So one of the things that you're seeing, the administration, current administration, they're looking back at the books that when Bush was in there, and they're trying to get private rocket companies to foot the bill for some of this.
That's a lot of money for a private company on something that to invest in when they might not even get the contract to do it later.
Well, first, our deficit spending has come down significantly in decades. It's the first time that the deficit is going the other direction. Two, we have to invest in research because that's where the innovation comes from, and funding for NASA and other type of research is critically important. We have to do more of that. And people like Elon Musk on the private sector are spending real dollars in developing a commercial space program, but these type of big projects, just like big infrastructure projects, are a community issue, and we as a United States community have to invest in them.
All right, we're going to have to leave it right there. Sally, we'll be back next week with some other really good topics, and I just want to wish you and all the mothers out there, including Jackie Bailey, a happy Mother's Day.
Thank
Happy
you
Mother's
so
Day.
much, and thank
Thank
you
you.
guys, Chris and Mustafa, for my beautiful flowers. I love them. Thank you.
right.
Have a great day. Happy Mother's Day, Jackie.
Same to you, Sally.